Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. We post an interview with an amazing Canadian each weekday for your daily inspiration. Today, I would like to introduce you to my dear friend, Clark Grue. Clark is fourth generation Albertan, and he's blessed with a great family. Cheryl, his wife of 32 years, four daughters, three son-in-laws, 3.5 grandkids, got to ask him about that, and his in-laws all live in Calgary. So nice. Clark tells me that they make his world make sense. At least the grandkids do. Besides his family, Clark is passionate about his business, their clients, and his partners, and watch them all succeed. He's also crazy about Calgary, Alberta, and Canada. I join you there, brother. And doing whatever he can to help us all achieve what we can as a community. And folks, he does that in spades. Friends, you'll find his full bio attached. Clark, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, Catherine. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you've been on my list since day one. I know it doesn't feel that way.
Good. I'm glad.
Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
You bet. Let's fire away.
Okay. So, your biggest challenge in the last few months?
Well, these are great questions, Catherine. I just wanted to say and thank you for having me on your amazing show.
Yeah.
I'm privileged to be on it, and there's been so many great people before me. So thanks for what you're doing to build positivity and build up people's spirits at this time. There's been lots of challenges, as for everybody, over the last few months. But one of the biggest ones for me has been my advocacy work for business events in Canada. So I chair Meetings Mean Business Canada, which is a cross-country coalition that is designed to elevate the importance of business events. So with that, the challenge has been to actually encourage government to either set policy or change regulation to allow us to meet again in groups. And as you know, Catherine, you're so great at networking and great with people in rooms and making your way around and meeting everybody. Without being able to do that, it's a real interesting strain on our economy, on how businesses interact, and really it's slowed a lot of things down. Beyond just the COVID sort of shutdown. So my role as the chair with Meetings Mean Business Canada is to speak to the federal government, the provincial governments, and help them to understand the importance of getting this going again to the economy.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. You've always been a champion for Alberta, and I'm delighted that you are constantly pushing. I'm delighted. Thank you. And the three things that you want to share with everyone today.
Well, this is such a great question, and I've listened to some of the other ones, and it's always, amazing to hear from people who are going through different things, some very, very positively, some struggling through. And as I look at where we're at today here in Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada, I was really thinking about this, I won't say early this morning. I've been thinking about it for a week, Catherine, so it's okay. But, I think the toughest one, really to consider, to think about, is that accepting that the world has changed. And I think a lot of us have felt that the world's going to come back, things are going to come back, the economy's going to come back. And I believe the world has fundamentally shifted and made a structural change in many respects, especially the global economy. So the first thing to me is to accept that, because if you don't accept it, you'll be at cross purposes with the change that's happened around us. The second is to explore new possibilities. So in change, obviously, comes opportunities, comes lots of different views of your world and how you project yourself onto your world. And so I think exploring new possibilities is really important right now. As depressing as it can be if you're out of your job or don't have work, don't put your head down, put your head up and make sure you're exploring new opportunities. And you do such an amazing job, Catherine, with helping people do that with your work. I'm such a big fan and respecter of what you do to connect people and make sure they're looking for new opportunities. And then the third one for me is looking to partner in new ways. The new world is begging for collaboration. It's begging for companies, businesses, people even to come together and deliver something different and unique. And I think that's a huge opportunity for the audience here, whoever that is. And as we think about ourselves in our jobs, if we have one, or ourselves in our community, our businesses. You know, finding ways to partner and come up with new approaches to our new world, I think is a really important piece as well. So those are my three.
Those are excellent, Clark. I think that a lot of the work that you've always done has always come from a collaborative perspective. I think the world's just finally catching up to you.
Well, you know, there's lots of collaborators out there. I'm speaking to one, and I think it's really important, more important maybe now than before COVID.
I agree. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your vision as a member of the American Chamber Canada West? I know I haven't prepped you on this, but you're so good at going off the cuff. So, would you mind just sharing how you see that supporting your clients, our community, etc.?
Yeah. The American Chamber of Commerce in Canada, of course, has been around for many, many years. It's a global network of American-based businesses doing business around the world. I just find it to be such a great platform and tool for Canadian companies to connect with American companies, and by doing that, do more work here in Canada and in the U.S. Of course, Catherine, thank you for taking on the chair role of the American Chamber of Commerce West chapter. There are 7 chapters across the country. I did serve on the national board for about 7 years, and then I got some great people in behind me and was able to now just become a cheerleader. So I'm really a big fan of AmCham, what it does. It really helps companies to connect to the U.S. market, our number one market still, as we all know, and as Canadian companies looking at expansion perhaps into a new market, the U.S. is the first one that usually comes to mind. In our business, probably about 70% of the companies that we're helping explore new markets globally are looking at the U.S. So it's a critical market, and AmCham is a critical platform, and it really does have a lot of weight. AmCham is, you know, an arm of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington. It has strong linkages to government, strong linkages to the business community, and very well respected by the U.S. business community. So I encourage anybody out there to become a member and be part of what you're doing with it now, Catherine, to lead us in the West.
Thank you, Clark. I've got another question. I have been approached by an organization that has a very cool initiative that is about building data centers in our smaller communities where there's fiber optic already. Mm-hmm. But what I'm curious about from your economic development hat, you've been in it forever, how do you see that rolling out? Do you see, I don't know if you know the numbers, but apparently it's extremely lucrative for the communities. Do you see that this is a possible way through for Alberta? What are your thoughts?
Great question, Catherine. Thank you. I think it's a fantastic opportunity with a caveat. Of course, data centers require tremendous amounts of power, as we all know. So if the community, if the local community, if that particular ecosystem has the ability to provide low-cost power or be able to make some money off the power and still attract these companies, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. It's kind of like another piece of the infrastructure puzzle that is in our new world, and so important that these data centers have security, have a great location, and have low-cost power or relatively low-cost power. So I think for some communities who are trying to figure out how they generate revenue for their community, I think it's one of many options, but certainly one that's forward-thinking that'll be around for a number of years.
Awesome, thank you. And can I ask one more question?
Yeah, absolutely. Hope I have an answer. I'll make something up if I don't.
Oh, my sweetie and I went to Nelson for a week, and we met with the Nelson Innovation Center. We spoke to many leaders there, and they are, and I could feel it. You could feel this energy of excitement, and the fact that COVID has made everyone look at how they live and work differently, where they're able to live where they want and work from home. And home could be Nelson from their perspective. I'd love to hear your perspective for Calgary and the amount of space that we have here, the assets that we have here, and basically a call to our world to come on back or to come visit and stay.
Yeah. Well, great question, Catherine. And this is at my heart. I've been a big booster, big promoter of Calgary for over 20 years around the world. And this is a unique time for Calgary. This is the first time we've had the opportunity set that we have today. In my 20 years selling this city, it hasn't been easy. It's been expensive. It's been hard to get into. It's a number of things, and it's all been for good reason. We had a booming economy, et cetera. Now we have a different set and a different sort of opportunity set. And I think that the key for us as Calgary is to really rethink this. There's big opportunity for, of course, tech support jobs or software development jobs here. Absolutely. The challenge we have is these are very portable jobs. So I think we have to be really, really strategic and smart and targeted about telling the world to come here. So my approach to this would look like doing a full-on gap analysis of our city and then targeting companies that should be here. And we're so good at this as Calgarians. We're so welcoming. We're such great hosts. Tourism Calgary uses the ultimate host moniker for Calgary, and it's true. Like when they come here, we're very welcoming. We accept them, whether they're a visitor, a leisure visitor, or a business visitor. We are extremely welcoming, far more than almost any city I've ever been to. So we have something very special here in Calgary. That's our culture. And that's a difficult thing to sell and market because everybody will say they have it. So the trick is to get them to come here. And so that's where when I'm so thrilled about promoting business events, because that brings these folks here, allows them to experience Calgary and let them think about how they'll set up in Calgary. So we've got all this office space downtown. And we got, great businesses that own it and want to fill it up. We have to get creative about what companies that might look like. And it may not just be software development. It could be many other services. If you think about just business services or professional services, we have a lot to offer the professional services space globally. So we could expand our thinking a bit on that to really go after some amazing companies that should be in Calgary. And there's a ton of them. There really is a ton of them. There's some great companies out there that are working to bring them into our city. We need more of them. We need to do this as a team. We need to be Team Calgary and be strategic about our approach. I hope I'm answering the question somewhat, Catherine, but that's my sort of perspective on it.
You did answer it perfectly. Thank you. Let's talk about the assets that are around here. I absolutely love, I used to call the downtown my jungle gym. And the kids that I always hung with thought it was hilarious because, we'd be up and down those towers all the time. I don't remember the last time I was up a tower in Calgary, unfortunately. What I loved about it was having that like no other city. We have this tight connection with everybody that we wanted to do business with that was plus 15 connected. So you could stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. That's where you could run into more friends. So there's a lot of coffee chats and wine after work chats and lots of really neat ways to be in community and collaborate in casual ways just by bumping into people. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love that. I love the fact, anybody who's a skier, there's no better place to ski downhill in the Rockies. We have Great Lakes that are close, not close enough as from my perspective. We were at a Ghost Lake on the weekend. It was awesome. There was tons of people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What else?
Great. Great question. We do have a ton to offer in Calgary. We really do. And you mentioned the business ecosystem and infrastructure and the plus 15s. It's unique to the world. I've never been to a city that has it quite the same way. Toronto has their path and Montreal has a system, but really Calgary's is so unique. It's elevated so you get the sunlight, and we get such great sunlight in this city, 300 days a year. That's why I love living here. And there's a huge opportunity for that to come back. Obviously, we're all being very careful right now with the crisis, but once we can do it again, Calgary has an amazing energy around it, as you're indicating. And so I'm a huge fan of that as well. And I think that can also draw these businesses into our community without question. It's a very unique city from that perspective, and how it works together is unique as well, both physically with the Plus 15, but also just the community, which is very unique too. And our culture, our business culture is quite special. We can't ever forget that. The mountains, the lakes, the badlands, everything around us, it's so unique. And I've brought so many people to this part of the world over my career. And I just love seeing them sort of, their eyes just light up when they see what we are privileged to see every day or every weekend, Catherine, the lakes and so on. They see for the first time, and they're just amazed. And I think sometimes we can take it for granted as Calgarians, Albertans. I don't think we should, but I think we just naturally can. And I agree with you. I think there's so much to do and see here from a recreational point of view. It just adds to the whole business ecosystem that we have here in Alberta and Calgary.
I agree. And the lakes even in the cities, like my friends at Arbor Lake, that's a great lake. Mackenzie Lake, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on a lake. We're in Sundance, so we have access to the lake. I mean, so the kids can go. We can go there and fish and boat and kayak, whatever we want. It's pretty incredible. Absolutely.
I agree. That's awesome. And your good news and legacy story that you want to share, or whatever you want to share in closing.
Well, we've covered a lot, Catherine. I looked at this question and thought about a couple things. I know that, coming back to my points earlier, Rainmaker has really made a change in its business model in the past year. And if we hadn't done this, I'm not sure where we'd be today as a company, whether we'd be existing or not. We've done this through partnerships that we didn't necessarily think about 2 years ago. And so I think it ties back to my earlier comments about looking for new ways to approach this new world. The other thought I would just leave with everybody is, I think the gig economy is here to stay. The idea that, we may not all have regular jobs in the future. We might have projects to work on. And I think everything could start to look different as we go forward. And once again, I think it's just something to consider. But for me, love this city, love this province and this country, and just want to see it be all it can be, if that makes sense. And we still can be. We still have mojo here. We still have energy. We still have a great business community that's out there and connected and doing things all over the world. That's the other great thing about Calgary is we have companies that are doing things all over the world, which is pretty exciting. So thanks for the opportunity, Catherine. It's been great to chat with you.
Thank you, Clark. I'm so delighted that you were able to share your words of wisdom with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, that was my dear friend, Clark Grue. Now you can see why I love him, and everybody does. Have a great day and see you on the next one.